In 1938, Congress passed the Fair Labor Standards Act, and this act made sure that employers couldn't pay employees under a certain wage, also known as minimum wage. Since 1938, there have been 22 separate adjustments of this wage. Currently, the minimum wage is at $7.25 an hour, and a lack of improvement since 2009, when the last increase was, has many citizens in dire situations. And according to Christian Dorier, a managing editor at Right Wing Watch, reported that protests of the current minimum wage have taken place in over 340 cities across the United States. America has had the reputation to be the home of the free and the brave. However, America has been neither free nor brave while allowing businesses to pay employees a wage of $7.25 an hour. The minimum wage in America is too low and should be increased to at least $15 an hour because inflation rates have made life more expensive, the government assistance budget is too high, and the economy is not at its full potential. So what? Well, wages can determine a person's livelihood and safety. Livelihood because they're not able to increase their standard of living, and safety, for example, a neighborhood where they're not able to move out of because they're being paid such a low wage. Understanding the minimum wage and why it should be increased can help you empathize with a lot of Americans facing these issues. Today, my three main points will touch base on why the current minimum wage is too low, because inflation rates, because the government assistance budget, and also because of the economy and how it's not at its full potential. So, to begin, inflation rates have caused people to have trouble affording what they used to. In 2009, also, when the last minimum wage was increased, $7.25 could buy as much as $5.32 today. Furthermore, in an article by Donna Batten, a freelance researcher claims a minimum wage worker who works 40 hours per week every week of the year will earn $15,080, putting their monthly income only $193 per month more than the poverty level. This is assuming that they take no time off during the year or have no instances where they need to dip into their savings. These demanding conditions have many Americans failing to remain out of poverty. Additionally, Linda Girardelli, a senior author for the Income and Benefits Policy Center, reports that 13.3% of Americans live in poverty. The depreciation of the dollar has caused a reduction in American freedom as money buys less. And because the minimum wage has not kept up with the 26.6% inflation rate, Americans cannot take the necessary risks to improve their lives and get out of poor conditions. Secondly, the minimum wage is too low and is allowing employers to take advantage of government assistance. To begin, David Cooper, an economic analyst for the Economic Policy Institute, points out roughly 60% of all workers paid less than $7.42 per hour receive some form of government-provided assistance. In 2019, before the COVID relief package, government assistance took up 8% of the national budget. That is a total of $361 billion. Our tax dollars are quite literally paying towards government assistance because businesses can't supply sufficient wages. Cooper also reports if businesses were required to pay a minimum wage of $15 an hour, this would provide an additional $108 billion to the working class of America. Meaning if this were to take place, the government assistance budget would be significantly decreased and businesses would be held more responsible for the well-being of their employees. Thirdly, the American economy is hindered because the current minimum wage is too low. A prospering economy depends on people spending their money. That being said, Robin Bade, the author of Foundations for Macroeconomics, claims that the total household wealth in the United States is $111 trillion. And the top 5%, also known as the business owners and shareholders, the ones who benefit from a low minimum wage, they account for $74 trillion. That's around 67% of all the household wealth. This means the economy is not being stimulated by the entirety of the wealth this nation possesses. Also, according to William Dunkelberg, an author at Forbes, he states increasing the minimum wage will do a few things to our American economy. To begin, some businesses at the beginning, at the hike, will have to lay off, but not by a lot. Secondly, it will speed up the automation process. more machines being introduced into the manufacturing setting. And thirdly, some businesses will fail. So basically, what will happen is a restructuring will take place. Employees that can no longer do perform tasks that were getting paid 725, they'll go into markets where they can actually provide additional service to the economy. They can go and get educated and then get better jobs. And we can also have lower prices whenever automation goes into place because we won't have to pay people as much. So all in all, it will be an in with the new and out with the old because it has been way too long since we've had an increase in wage. And we're allowing this economy to fester in this unproductive manner that is just benefiting the rich. So, in conclusion, America is being taken advantage by a $725 minimum wage. And it's because inflation rates are too high and they've made life more expensive. 725 is the equivalent of 532 in 2009. Government assistance is unnecessarily high and the majority of minimum wage workers receive government aid. And the economy is not at its best because the wage has allowed old business practices to fester and not innovate to our full potential. My call to action is to do whatever you can to make sure people are educated about this topic. So when the voting comes into place where we can actually make a change, we can understand what needs to happen.